Nation's musical station, but in person we have Blackie Lawless from Waspy as my co-host for today's show. Welcome. What have you been up to today?
I left New York City at 9 o'clock this morning, and I've been running around like a chicken with my head not on, and I'm here talking to you now.
So now all the videos that we're playing in today's show are ones that you chose specifically. So we'll ask you a little bit as to why you chose each particular video, and we'll talk about your new album.
Yay.
All right. The new album, Headless Children. Is this another Blackie Lawless being a bad guy again?
It's a very serious record. It's about serious subjects. I want the record to be taken seriously. And people, when they hear the idea of the Headless Children, they think, oh God, they're out lopping kids' heads off again. This is not about that at all. We took 2 years off to make this, and over the course of time, if you do what we've done and been where we've been and see the things that we've seen, you can't help but reflect or have it reflect in your music. I mean, the whole idea of the Headless Children was every time I would watch the news and I saw a plane loaded full of people getting blown up somewhere or some other catastrophe happening in the world, that's really what the Headless Children are all about. And I guess it's maturing as an artist.
Are you succumbing to the pressure of people like Tipper Gore who are yelling and screaming about your lyrics?
The PMRC, which sounds like a problem women have monthly, is, I want everybody to fall off the seats laughing now. They were using television as an electronic soapbox to spew propaganda, to create profile for a candidate, and it worked magnificently for them. They were never ever about censoring records. That's too simple. I mean, nobody really cares about that. I mean rock and roll never changed the world, nor will it ever.
But were you not using rock and roll as your own soapbox, spewing off what you were singing about the, you know, women and the degradation of women, that kind of thing?
No, it was never about degrading women or anything. I mean, we did a thing in the show where we used a girl on a rack, but it wasn't...
Excuse me, you what?
A woman on a rack.
A woman on a rack.
But it wasn't...
Complimentary, perhaps?
Well, come on, it wasn't, you know, a dig at women. It was, we thought it was theater. And I don't apologize for anything we ever did in the past. But the object of being an artist is to stir the minds of men. And I don't mean that as a chauvinistic remark. I mean mankind, or womankind in this particular instance. And unless you're doing that, unless you're saying something musically, lyrically, or you're touching people emotionally somehow, you are not an artist. You are a factory that makes records. Mm-hmm. And until you get to that point, then you are not an artist. Okay,
I want to talk about your music more, but let's, what videos we're going to play now? We're playing Judas Priest and Motorhead. Tell me why you chose those two. No? Oh, we're just going to play Iron Maiden first? Okay, we'll play Iron Maiden first. Talk about Iron Maiden for a second.
Steve Harris is a good friend of mine, and I think Maiden are one of the premier metal bands around.
What's interesting is that I find that Maiden is a little bit like what you were talking about. They are very socially aware, very socially conscious. When they do their shows, they make a point of talking about suicide and other problems troubling young people, the same people that you are directing your songs at.
Well, let's hope somebody gets a message.
Iron Maiden for Muchmusic. Co-host here at Pepsi Power Hour. And so what did you think of, you know, the movie Decline of Western Civilization Part 2, Oh Look at the Face? Penelope Spheris directed this wonderful film on the state of metal.
Oh yeah, it's wonderful.
Now, let me just get, Chris Holmes' performance in that film was particularly sentimental. How did you feel about his performance?
Penelope used to be a friend of mine, and when we saw it, there was two segments that were shot. There was a piece that he did earlier in the day, which was the part that was supposed to have been used, and then you have another section, which is what ended up in the film, of him goofing off in front of the cameraman.
He was drunk.
He was not drunk. I mean, when your mother is sitting next to you and you're lying in a pool, he thought that he was going to be entertaining for the camera, him constantly being on stage, right? And that's what happens when you goof off and you get caught. We tried to get it yanked from the film.
Oh, really?
And they gave us some jargon about how it had already been sent out and the prints were made. So thank God it wasn't Gone with the Wind or something where everybody could have seen it, because I mean, the message that we're trying to put across with this record now, that totally contradicts everything that we're talking about. I mean, but by the same token, you know, I mean, the only thing I want to say on this is get people to be a little bit more responsible for themselves, because if I want to go out and have a couple of drinks, that's my business. You know, I'm not going to change my lifestyle for anybody. But by the same token, I'm not going to get on a freeway out here somewhere and get in a car and go kill some man and his family. So if you're going to have a good time, just be responsible for yourself. Don't blow up the guy next to you. I mean, rock and roll's a great thing. You can have a great time with it, but it's like the ocean. If you do not respect it, it will take your life.
But at the same point, you are in the public eye, and if you go and have more than 6 drinks, whatever, because you're very tall, you need lots to get drunk, then, and if you go out in public, and people see you drunk, then you become a role model for people. So, and you have to be aware of that at the same time. You are a very big role model.
Well, I would agree with that, but you also have to understand that the people that do what we do have our own lives. Let me say this, 95% of the people that do what we do don't realize the amount of responsibility that they have, because we don't think that we're special. We wake up in the morning and we put on our pants just the same way everybody else does, so therefore we don't think what we are saying is that important. But what happens is you do a television show, or some kid's out there in radio land somewhere, and he's listening to some rock god somewhere on the radio. He's believing every word that guy is saying.
You know what's interesting is when I talked to you, now this is about 2 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago in our old building, you weren't as, perhaps, as responsible as this. You were still saying, well, yeah, I'm doing it. It's, you know, sometimes it's not so great, but it's not all that bad. You seem to have really changed your tune a bit here.
Well, when you look back in your life, everybody has signposts in their minds that point them in certain directions. And when you, like I said, when you go to places we've been and seen what we've seen, I had a girl come up to me in London about 3 years ago.
London, England?
And she says, I want to thank you for saving my life. And I said, excuse me? She goes, yeah. She says, I was a really bad junkie. And she said, there was a line in one of your songs. We had a song in the first album called BAD, which had nothing to do with drug abuse at all. And there's a line in the song that says, it's the bloody fix you do. And she says, I interpreted that as being very unattractive as far as slamming junk. She says, and I was really bad off. If it wasn't for that song, I'd probably be dead now. And I thought to myself, whoop, 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 can't be having any of that now. You know, that's too much responsibility. You know, I just want to get on with my life and have fun. I couldn't get it out of my head. And I thought to myself after, I thought, here we did this and we weren't even trying. What could we do if we tried? It's not the only incident where things like that have happened, but you can't, like I said, go on. I mean, we're going on our 6th year of making records right now, and everybody starts at 0 when they get a record deal, and they go around. Some make a full cycle of 360s, most don't. But if you're lucky enough to make a complete revolution, it's like you're starting all over again. I mean, I feel in so many ways like everything is brand new for us again.
Well, aside from making records, what do you do in your spare time? Do you have any funny hobbies?
I have no spare time.
Come on, you don't have any hobbies?
Well, no, I'm getting in the horse business now. I've got a couple of Arabian stallions. There are 2 of 8,000 horses in the world.
And you're breeding them?
Uh-huh. Blackie, Lawless, horse pimp.
That's great. We have a couple of videos here with motorcycles. No, it's motorcycles in them. Are you a motorcycle?
You'd like those.
A motorcycle rider?
I have a 57 panhead Harley myself, yes I do.
Are you a careful driver?
I'm still breathing.
Okay. We have Judas Priest and Motorhead. Why'd you choose these two?
I think that the Priest video, just from a technical point of view of a video, is really well done. And we were talking about the rack a while ago. The girl that is the principal role in this was our first rack girl. Her name is Pam.
Cut! Go to video now! Don't give him any more airtime. Jeez. Crap. Lawless is here with me, and we were talking about 2.5 years ago, you probably don't remember this, about roles that people play in music. And I was curious, do you consider your role to be the hero or the bad guy?
I've been asked a lot of things, but I've been asked my underwear size, all kinds of stuff like that, never anything like that. Public's perception would probably be antisocial. But then again, that's the essence of rock and roll, too. Rock and roll is about going against the grain. You know, it's like, I go watch a band, and if they ain't got that curl in their lip, they ain't gonna make it with me.
They gotta be bad to be good?
Something like that. You know, that's very good. You guys should do some more of those.
Okay. What bands do you like? What bands have you been listening a lot to?
We were talking about Living Colour a while ago during the break. I think they're an important band because of what they're saying. And I would like to see, and I want everybody to realize this is not the flavor of the month coming out of us. I mean, I don't think, I keep saying this, but you can't see what we've seen and do what we've done without it having changed your life. And I could never ever see Wasp, and myself as well, approaching a record quite the same again. So I think the more bands that have something constructive to say, I mean, hey, I still want to have fun. I mean, but why can't you have fun and say something as well?
No reason. I'm into that.
Absolutely.
That's good. It's actually...
for me.
Yeah, okay, you got a point there. All right. What else do I want to talk to?
Attack me now.
All right, here we go. Your new album is...
Well, you get out of that real quick, you know. It's like, I'm the boss, I'm the host, I'll do whatever I want.
That's right. That's what you learn after doing this for years and years.
But I don't want to go to video right now.
We're not going to video. We're going to talk about the album again. Okay. So your new album, as you said, deals with some very important issues. And it's a thinking man's record, and with fun, but it's different than your other albums. You're progressing, you're becoming an artist. Now, how's that going to affect your live show? In your live shows in the past, you've used the rack, you've used the scraped out skull, drinking simulated blood, and you have...
I don't know what that was.
Well,
I don't know what that was.
Well, it was red stuff that looked like blood.
It was a Jim Jones reject. You know? Would you like some cool?
And it was, well, I know it's not real blood, but also the imagery that you're using is important. And then there's the buzzsaw codpiece.
I choked on that a few times myself.
So how's that going to affect your show now? What kind of props are you going to use?
What we're attempting to do is to bring this album cover to life. And if we've got a shot of this somewhere around here, this album
actually
cover.
We do. CD.
How convenient. What we're going to attempt to do is to bring this album cover to life with the desert in the back, which you can't really see on the CD box, but that skull is sitting in the middle of a desert, which is essentially a bottomless pit, and you see all these millions of people coming out of it. And in the front we have the Party Boys there, who are famous villains throughout history, and those villains will come forward on the stage. They will be three-dimensional. They'll be about 8 feet tall. And in the middle of the stage is the drum riser, and the drum riser starts levitating in the middle of the show and turns into a giant television set, about 10 feet. And behind that we will use rear screen projection. And you will then see how all these people became famous throughout the course of the show. And we want people to understand emphatically that this is not geared towards sensationalism. We're running a disclaimer before the show starts that it's like a trailer for a movie. If a movie needs some setup or something like that, some explanation. Something to the effect that the lights will go out before the band comes on, and across the screen you will read, "Make no mistake, what you are about to see, the band in no way are attempting to glorify. If you do not learn from history, you are damned to repeat it." We will run that in the native language of every country we go into before the show starts. Because it's not just this, I mean, when we're doing Headless Children and Hitler's up behind me doing his speech at Nuremberg, I mean, that's going to get some people's attention. But you have to understand that this is not sensationalism. We were in Europe about 2.5, 3 months ago, and we were in Germany, and we told them that we were going to be doing this, and we wanted their reaction, and they were really happy to see it, someone drawing attention to this, because they had had their national elections 2 weeks before we were there. There is a new Nazi party there, and they won 13% of the national vote. I mean, these guys just don't get it. You know, I mean, how many times do you have to hit them over the head? That portion of the show in the song The Headless Children is where you will see that. But I think this record primarily deals with drug abuse, which is the single biggest problem we have, not just in North America, but in the world. Mm-hmm. And there is a specific song called Thunderhead, which is about a junkie. And I don't know if you've ever seen anybody shoot junk before, but it is not a pleasant thing. And in the middle of this song, the TV set goes back up again, and you will then see how this stuff is done. And I have seen this show, we've been rehearsing it in LA for about a month, and it definitely makes people squirm when they watch it. But the object is to get the fans, when they walk out of this room, to run the films back in their own mind, to think, what did I just see? To make it so unattractive that they would never, ever entertain the idea of doing anything
You're doing
like
a sort of a Clockwork Orange on the audience?
Well, I don't know about that, but the object is to create something that once they see it, they will never forget it the rest of their lives.
When are you going to be playing live and where?
We start, oddly enough, in all places, Belfast, Ireland on May 4th. We will do 2 months in Europe. We will come back to America for about 3 months. A second leg of Europe for another couple of months, then back to America again.
Where does Canada fit in?
Well, America, North America.
Canada.
Canada is part of North America,
well,
correct?
There's still
Unless somebody pulled something on me since the time I left here, you know.
Okay.
The kid gets defensive, including Canada in both of those legs. And then we will do a 5th leg in Japan, and that'll take us somewhere to around Christmas.
How does the Japanese react to your shows?
Satellites changed everything. I mean, you know, the fans are pretty much the same everywhere in the world. Everybody thinks they're different because they're in a different part of the world, but they're really not. Because in the last 15, 20 years, satellites changed everything. A kid in Egypt knows what's going on the same day in Paris. A kid in Paris knows what's going on in Wichita, Kansas later that afternoon.
They
so
just don't
they really
understand the words, though.
Well, yeah, but they get the drift. You'd be surprised. I mean, English is the universal language, so it translates pretty well.
Okay, video's coming up now. What are we playing here?
I give up.
AC/DC and Helix. You said you chose Helix because they're friends of yours?
Oh, yeah, the Helix boys will always have a place in my heart because we did our very first North American tour, including Canada, with them, and we really had some fun, and I wish them well wherever they're doing or wherever they're at.
And AC/DC?
Don't know shinola about those guys.
But you just like them?
I just like them,
yeah.
you know. I mean, you have to be a communist, not like AC/DC.
I agree, 100%. Boy, you're so American. Here it is, AC/DC on Muchmusic's Power Hour. Blackie Lawless is still here, sticking it out. Okay, here's the question.
Really, you've been beating up on me pretty good here. 3 rounds so far, you're winning.
Are we? Am
no,
I?
I'm just kidding.
I thought we're pretty much tied. You're doing pretty good.
No, I'm struggling for a rookie. It's okay.
Okay. You have said that you think that people in rock and roll should just retire gracefully when they've reached their pinnacle of success. The Who has just announced their new tour. How do you feel about that?
You're asking the wrong person there because I'm very biased towards them. So, I mean, they could do just about anything, and I would probably get down and worship at the foot of the master. So, I'm really not the right guy to ask that.
Well, then you're the right guy. So you think that the tour is a great idea?
For me personally, but I can't speak for everybody else. You know, I mean, some folks might say, you know, that when someone reaches a certain point, the Stones, I mean, there's a lot of people that might fit in this classification now that maybe shouldn't do it anymore. I mean, I'm not passing judgment here. I'm just considering the possibilities.
You did a cover of their song, The Real Me. Have they heard it? Have you heard from them? And what they say?
It was very, very nice. When we were in London a couple of months back, I sent a copy of The Real Me to Peter Townsend, and I thought, I'm never going to hear from this guy, right? You know, it's like, you know, yeah, we recorded that back in whenever, you know. And he sent me a letter, and it said that he very, very much liked it. And he said a couple other little technical things about it. At the bottom of the letter, he signed it, Love, Pete. And I got to tell you, it made my day because I learned my craft of writing lyrics from this man. If he's not the best lyricist that rock's ever seen, then he's definitely one of them.
Very interesting. Now, he has changed his career from being a rock and roll. I mean, you know that he's admitted that he's almost deaf now?
Yes.
But, so he has gone more away from rock and roll, and he's become an editor at Faber & Faber. He's working
Well, he's been doing that for quite some time.
Working in the literary world, and now we hear that you are thinking of entering the political world. Something about a senator?
If I thought that I could do somebody some good, then I would. I mean, I made that statement a few months back about wanting to become a senator when I wasn't playing music anymore. And the problem is that if you're going to help John Q. Public, you're going to have to ruffle feathers to do that. And usually those feathers belong to a very big bird. And I'm not talking about Sesame Street now. I'll give you an example. The Kennedy brothers, who I believe believed in what they were doing, regardless of the background that they came from, I believe that they were very conscientious about what they were trying to do. The problem is they went after men who had entire armies behind them. And the Kennedy brothers had briefcases. And the problem is that bullets go right through briefcases.
How does that affect you? You're afraid of being shot?
I've been shot at twice. And...
Angry boyfriends?
No. I mean, the reason is not important. It was band related. We were performing once, and once we were doing a location photo session. And I've had more death threats than I can shake a stick at. And
now, who is this? Angry parents who don't like the music
I have
you're
no
playing?
idea. If that were the case, and we knew, the FBI wouldn't have had to come to live with me for about a month, 3 years ago. So, I mean, you know, it's like, who's running this asylum now? The inmates, you know? Taking all that into consideration, I mean, I live in a state where we had a real, honest-to-God, rock and roll governor out there when I first, I mean, the guy was sleeping with a rock star, you know, I mean, in the governor's mansion out there. It was really cool. And the guy was really genuinely trying to help people, and because he upset big business, they drummed him literally out of politics.
So because of that, you think because big business wouldn't necessarily be on your side, you have no chance?
I could never, I'm not saying that I couldn't have a chance. I could not compromise my beliefs and live with myself. I just couldn't do it. And when you don't compromise, if you don't bend, you break. And I don't want to end up being a martyr for anybody. I mean, I'd like to help a lot of folks, but I don't want to die in the process.
Fair enough. Okay, a couple more videos. Sword, we have the album here. And would you like to show the album? There's Sword. Now, have you heard this band yourself?
No, I can't say as I have.
But you're interested in Canadian product, and this is the latest. It's a brand new video. It's called Sweet Dreams, and it's a very lovely album cover. Skull with snake going through it. Do you like snakes?
Yeah, they're tasty.
Good. And
Tastes
Ozzy,
like chicken.
Ozzy, Miracle Man, you said that you want to play this
Well,
video.
I mean, Ozzy, I mean, this video is so hysterical for anybody who hasn't seen it yet. I mean, he's got pigs as a congregation. He's supposed to be Jimmy Swaggart. And, I mean, it's such a goof on it. I mean, you can't help but like it.
Okay, here we go. Ozzy Osbourne on Muchmusic. I always get the last out. The show's almost over. But you had fun, didn't you?
I can't remember when it's been a great pressure.
We're going to give away copies of your CD and cassette and T-shirt as well. Here's the CD. We saw it before, so we won't dwell on it too long. You can hold on to that. And then this is the T-shirt. And then we have also a cassette to give away. Now, what we have altogether are 7 or 10?
10 T-shirts.
10 T-shirts, 3 CDs, and 7 cassettes. And in order to win them, we have a very philosophical question for you to answer. And that is, we've discussed this, and we want you to tell us what the concept of the Headless Children refers to. That is the name of the album that Wasp has spent 2 years and a lot of money working on. And and if you'd like to win a copy of this, all you have to do is write to the Headless Children, care of Muchmusic, 299 Queen Street West, Toronto, Ontario, M5V2Z5, or that is the Pepsi Power Hour. So get that in there, and we'll be sending the top 3 answers in. The ones who are most philosophically correct will receive the CD and a T-shirt, and all the rest of you will receive, who get the answer correctly, cassettes. So that's it. Okay, we're finished with that. I'll take that back now. Thank you very much. And we're going to let you go now, but before we let you go, I guess, any gossip you want to give us or anything else that you haven't said that you'd like to say?
Nothing particularly
It's your chance.
I can think of. Now's my time to get you back, right?
Yeah.
No, that's something else.
Be
no,
careful.
Everybody, I want everybody to buy this record. I have horses somewhere in California that are going to starve if they don't buy this record. So please, have mercy on those beasts. Okay, thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Thanks, Ma. This is the real thing. The Who. And